How you doing, sir? Joshua Kingston in here somewhere. Yes, sir. Right here. Yeah. How you doing? Ty Pinkins. Scott. How you doing?
All right.
All right, all right. Thank you for coming out. Hello. How are you?
You about you. Yeah, right. Good, man. How are you? You probably would have you didn't have the yes, sir. We got everything in order. Just wait on it. Okay, no problem.
Share the feed to your Facebook DM in case you want to live stream. Pop up.
Thanks. I'm doing good, man. You all right? Good, good, good. Have a religion in y'all. Yeah. Cousin. Okay. That's the type of people that come out. Wrong day. Right place. Yeah, I'm coming in. Hey, everybody. Good morning. Good afternoon. Speed down. Yeah,
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, family. There we go. How y'all doing? My name is Ty Pinkins, and I'm running for United States Senate in 2024. Before we get started, I want to explain to everybody why we're doing this today, because it's personal to me. I'm a Delta boy, and I'll explain a little bit more about that to you later on. Born and raised right up here in Rollingford. Over the past years, we know that when we have federal campaigns, statewide campaigns, a lot of times communities in the Mississippi Delta get looked over. So we're trying to correct that. Myself, my good friend Greta Kemp Martin, and one of my good friends, the Keeper Stamps. What we are doing is coming into these communities, bringing statewide candidates, people that are running for state office, bringing them into these communities so that you can hear them, you can see them, you can ask questions to them. First of all, thank y'all for coming out. Thank y'all so much. And thank you to Mayor Jackson, who's actually taking care of some business, for making this building available to us. So let's give him a round of applause. For those who are running for local elected office, thank you so much for coming out today as well. We have people running for supervisor here, people running for other offices here. So the way that we're going to do this is we're going to allow our local elected officials, people that are running for local office, to come up real quick, come up and actually talk about what it is, why you're running, and why people should vote for you. And I should make it known that we are live, so that your community members are watching you.
Okay.
It's a feed, a live feed from right back there, so they are watching you, and they will hear what you're saying, so they'll know why they should or why they should vote for you. Okay? We're going to do a little bit different though. We're going to bring Ms. Jones up first because she has a family emergency that she has to take care of. Okay? So Tamika Jones, come on up. She's running for representative. Round of applause for her.
All right. Thank you, Ty, so much. Thank you for coming to Humphreys County and giving us this opportunity and this platform. First, I've been given a duty to apologize to our Democratic chair for Humphreys County, Ms. McNair, who had a previous engagement, so she could not be here, but she wanted me to be sure to let you know that she's definitely supporting the Democratic Party and she's looking forward to assisting in the elections process. Of course, I am Tamika James Jones, and I am the candidate for House of Representatives District 51. I am a lifelong resident of Humphreys County. Of course, I'm a 1991 graduate of the mighty class of Humphreys County and Jackson State University. I graduated in 1995, Jackson State University. Just a little bit about myself. I have served as the circuit clerk for the past 19 years, and it has been an honor and a pleasure to serve the people of Humphreys County. But I've not only served in that capacity, but I've served as the first African-American female justice court judge in Humphreys County. And again, it's always been a pleasure and an honor to serve. But it's at this point that I realized, and with the help of, first with the divine guidance of God up above, and of course speaking with my husband, and of course making sure that I have a little time for my little grandbaby Melanie, who said, okay, Greta, it'll be okay. She's only one. But make sure that I have time for her. But I realized that this is time that we be bigger and greater. Humphreys County, LaFleur County, Sharkey County, Yazoo County. This is a time for us to pivot and to make this area greater than what it is, whether it's in the realm of economic development, housing, education, entertainment. This is our time. This is our time. We know that we've had representation over the past 20 years. It's been phenomenal, but it is now time to pass the torch. And when we say pass the torch, we mean to make the light brighter. We want to shine for the Mississippi Delta. District 51 deserves greater. It deserves greater. And I know that with the opportunity that I will have that chance to serve our people even more. One of the things that I really, that I have the passion for is most important to me is, of course, the voice for the expansion of Medicaid. We know that we have leaders that are there now who refuse to allow that to happen. And that's almost shameful. You know, my grandma used to say that's just low down dirty shame. And it is shameful when you talk about failing to expand Medicaid and there are people dying. At the end of the day, we're talking about lives. We're talking about lives. And I did have an opportunity to share this story before, but I will share, and I know you here in this audience, you know more than any of us. When we have no emergency health care in this county, that's an issue. When folks get sick, they gotta ride 25 miles. That's a problem. That's horrific. That's horrific. And I share the story about my niece, Harmony, and Harper, my grandniece, who's not here because we do not have emergency care. They're not here anymore. Byron is left here without a wife and without his daughter because we do not have emergency health care. I have a young man that was a part of a program at the courthouse, had an asthma attack, and perished. We've got to do better. We've got to do better. And I know that with my voice, we will do better. I ask you to please consider me. Please vote for me. Please pray for my success. But it's not just about me. This is about all of us. This is about the entire 51st District. This is about the state of Mississippi. This is about the United States of America. And I ask you to humbly ask you to send me to the Mississippi Capitol. One other issue that I'd like to stress and to say, when we talk about education, our school district, Yazoo City, Humphreys County, is now a part of the Mississippi Achievement School District. So what does that mean? That the state is taking over. We have an a great opportunity for our young kids to move to the next level. We know that they're brilliant. There's brilliance in this Mississippi Delta. There is brilliance in the state of Mississippi. There is no doubt about it. But children and the districts, they deserve every single resource for their success. That means fully funding education. That's what we're talking about. So when we talk about leadership, you're looking at leadership. And this is what we want to present to you. We want all of us to have the voices heard because I will represent you. It is with the representative to stay well connected with the Board of Supervisors. The Board of Supervisors can share with the representative what they're expecting, what their expectations are in the legislative sessions. It is the representatives that are in connection with the municipalities, the mayors, the Board of Aldermen, the connect. That's what's going to be the success in leadership and representation. And without a doubt, you know that I want to remain closely connected, and I will remain closely connected to each of you. It is about the people in this community being able to know who the representative is, that the representative is accessible. Yes, I would like to maintain an office there in the Humphreys County Courthouse. So anytime you need to reach out and you need to see your representative, children need to know who their representatives are. And it is at this time, that's not so all the time. But I want to be able to be that person for this community. Again, we have lots and a whole array of issues. And not all are not grim, all are not dim, because there are wonderful things in the Mississippi Delta. As you know, here in Belzoni, we have the George Lee Museum. We have the Catfish Museum. But even those places need resources in order for them to maintain. We have a beautiful courthouse. But the walls are depleting. There needs to be funding to have our courthouse restored to the beauty and the charm that it deserves. But when we allow over $500,000 to not be sent here, that's a problem. So it is at this time that I ask you again for your prayers of success. I ask that you join in with me. And most importantly, I ask you to vote for me for House of Representative District 51. August 8th, polls are open from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. Each one take 10. It used to be each one take one, but now we want each one to take 10 so that we can be successful in the District 51 in Humphreys County and all of the areas in which we will represent. So again, I ask you for your prayers, and I ask you to vote on August 8th for Tamika James Jones for your next representative for House District 51. Thank you so much, Ty, for giving me this opportunity, and I look forward to working with each of you.
Tamika James Jones, House of Representative District 51. Thank you so much. So she has to run off because she has an emergency. So the way that we're going to do this now is we're going to make sure that we hear from the local candidates that are running for office first. I think we have some supervisors in here running, right? What other local offices do we have running here this morning? There's supervisors, right? Circuit clerk? Okay, let's get the circuit clerk candidate up first. You call yourself up. Let's give him a round of applause.
Well, good afternoon. Of course, some of you know me here today, and some of you don't. My name is Marvin Jones. I'm a retired school district employee, 28 years in Humphreys County School District. So after that, I became an alderman here in the city of Belzoni, and at this time, I'm making my transition to the office of circuit clerk. I'm an unopposed candidate for that office, and of course, in January, I'll become the next circuit clerk. The current circuit clerk is doing an outstanding job. As I was listening to her speak this morning, or this afternoon, of course, I was like, that's a hard act to follow. But actually, it's not an act. She's the real deal. So me being unopposed, I'm going to keep that office running sufficient, very sufficient. Of course, I have all the tools necessary to keep that office going. Two of the main ingredients, what I thought about yesterday was my birthday. And so she and I, we took a ride to Greenville, and we stopped at this restaurant, and the restaurant was missing one ingredient. It was their main ingredient. So then I thought about it, I said, we got two main ingredients here in Humphreys County. That's myself and Tamika James Jones. So we want you to vote for her on August and for House District 51, and of course me, circuit clerk for Humphreys County. And again, my name is Marvin Jones. I appreciate the time. We'll pass the mic.
Thank you, Marvin. Okay, so supervisors. This is the exciting part for me. I love county supervisors. I worked with county supervisors for 3 years in a row here in Humphreys County, over in Sharp, Sunflower, Yazoo, just all over the place. So, can I get the county supervisors to come up, and we'll give each candidate 5 minutes to talk about their campaign. So if y'all can come up, I'd really appreciate it. Here you go, sir. Round of applause for him.
Good afternoon. Glad Marvin came up with his wife. Active father. Hello everyone, my name is James Bankhead Sr. I'm a candidate for re-election in Humphreys County Board of Supervisors B1. I'm in my second term, so I'm asking that the people of B1 give me the opportunity to serve one more year. I'm very passionate about B1, the county that I represent and serve. I am not a part of the clique. I only have one agenda. That is advancing the citizens, not only of B1, but the entire county in which I serve, represent. But, people always talk about, what he hasn't done, as an elected official. As we look back, I'm sure every elected official always can look back and say, yeah, we could have done, more. But, some of those, but I have a question. I have a question for all those individuals talking about what they haven't done. But I want to ask you the question, what have you done? But like I said, I'm very passionate. I love Humphreys County. I ask it to people. One thing I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to tell you the truth. If you don't want to hear the truth, don't ask me a question because I'm not going to lie to you. And whatever I say, you can fact check me. Fact check me on anything that I say. And I'm very passionate. I set aside 20% of my salary each month to enhance and advance the people of the district that I serve. Whether it be healthcare, people need money paying for their medicine, a grocery bill, or just any necessity. I set aside 20% of my money each month. Not only to the people of B1, but the entire Humphreys County community. But like I said, I'm very passionate. I love Humphreys County. I look forward to advancing Humphreys County. And like Ms. Jones said, it takes all of us. We're stronger together than we are apart. And, when people, you talk about, getting industry and things like the county, first thing people look to locate in county, they're going to come and see your surroundings, as your community, all these dilapidated buildings, what have you, they're going to know about your education system, your banking, banks really invest in the community you serve. They want to know about the crime. But, it's going to take all of us working together. There's enough blame to go around for everyone. So I ask you on August 8th, please consider to re-elect me as your supervisor for Humphreys County B1. And everyone, 99% of the people in my beat that I represent know my phone number. And they can call me. I may not answer them, but I always return your call. I don't have a private number. But like I said, you call me, ask me a question. If you don't want to hear the truth, I won't say that, but I'm not going to lie to you. And I love Humphreys County. I love the people that I represent. So I hope the people of B1 will have church come out and re-elect me as supervisor B1. Thank you. God bless you.
Next up is Mr. Derek Henderson, who's also running for supervisor. Come on, sir.
Good evening. My name is Derek Henderson, supervisor B4. And I have a motto that I've been trying to live by for the last 4 years, which is my first term. And that's breaking barriers, building future. And, everybody think it's an easy job being a supervisor because they say you don't do no more fix roads and dig ditches. But it's bigger than that. You have to attend classes. You got to first find out where you want to go, who you want to go, and how you gonna get there. So I say that by saying when you work together as 5 supervisors, and nobody, not one of us, can make a choice by ourselves. So, when you say you a supervisor, be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you still a supervisor for the whole county. Like Mr. Banky said, when you work together as one, you get a lot deeper. And with that being said, I'm asking you to support me for a second term as supervisor B4.
Thank you, sir. Next up is Mr. Woodrow Johnson, supervisor B3. There you go. I got it right.
It's not Woodrow Wilson. First, I'd like to give honor to Almighty God, who is the head of my life, to the Mr. Samantha ceremony, and first Happy Mother's Day to all you ladies out there. Thank you. My name is Woodrow Johnson, and I am a lifelong citizen of Humphreys County. I went to every school here in Humphreys County except O.M. McNair. But I would have went there, but they designated me to go to Louise, where they changed the school system. But I started off in my elementary school at Woman Hard. I left there and I went to Ribbon Oak. That's where I left. That's where I met my apple of my eye, my wife. We dated through elementary, junior high, and high school. I married her in 1974, and we've been married for 49 years and counting. I have 4 children, all of which graduated from Humphreys County High School. And where I was a graduate of the first graduating class of Humphreys County High School, I believe, in 1972. I am running for re-election for my 3rd term. I'm very passionate about this job. Every week, I know we all see me around here, I rise my whole week. Every week, I check with my constituents. I see what their wants, their needs are. Mr. Bankhead said, we give a lot of our own salary back to the less fortunate and inconvenient people. I take my own personal vehicle and take them to the doctor and stuff like that. That's really don't fall under the umbrella of a supervisor, but that's fall under the umbrella of loving your constituents. That's what I do. I love everyone. I treat everyone the way I want to be treated. I remember a long time ago when I told my dad that I was going to get married. And he set me on a law. We was coon hunters. We big coon hunters. I still do that now. He told me, he said, son, let me tell you something. He said, first of all, when you become a man, serve your Lord and God with all your heart, soul, and spirit. I try to do that. Second, he said, treat everyone the way you want to be treated. Third, he said, be fair and honest in all your dealings. That's what I try to do. I love Humphreys County. Let me tell you, I have accomplished a lot the last 7.5 years. When I took office, we had 9 bridges closed, and we had about 4 roads closed. By lobbying and going down to the Jackson and begging and pleading, I got all of those roads back open, and all but 1 bridge replaced. I want to say that I have required $2.7 million to get that 3rd one done. That comes from hard dedication work going to Jackson. They get tired of seeing me, but I don't get tired of looking at them because they got what I want. And if someone got what you want, you're gonna have to go. You know, they said squeaky wheel, get the oil. I'm a squeaky wheel down there. And I've been successful. Now I ain't do it all by myself, because I have to reach out to my senators, my legislators, and everyone. You know, you can't do everything by yourself. You got to have, it's a partnership. Now, one thing about being a supervisor, when things go wrong, you will get blamed. Even if you have no control of it, you will get blamed. But that's where you got to have thick skin and understand the process. Now, on August 8th, I'm asking, please return to the court and re-elect me for my 3rd term. I got plans to fix the Belzoni subdivision, which was one of the first subdivisions that was built in Humphreys County when black people was able to buy brick homes. It wasn't built to the modern specifications of things are today. There are drainage out there at the core. I have put in for a water infrastructure, stormwater drainage grant for $874,000. And it's this close to being accepted, but it's still a little tweaking and got to do. I got to go down there and squeak a little bit harder, but it's gonna get done if you send me back. I also plan to finished paving the Cook Road where it stopped from the HA and turned to gravel and it started back to blacktop about a mile and a half down the road. I want to, well, I already paid for it and got it on project. And just soon as the construction crew can get there and get started, that road will be done. But, you know, it's a lot out there to do. But I want to tell you, B3 is 85% rural. So I got a lot of gravel roads, a lot of trees and debris. And you got to be willing to wake up at 2 or 3 o'clock at night when someone calls you and says, a deer in the middle of the highway, a horse out there, you know, a cow in the road. You got to get up. You got the answer. You got the answer. That's my job. You got to do it. But like I say, you got to have a passion and hard working and honest to do this job. And I got that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any more supervisors that are running? Any local elected candidates other than supervisors? So now we're going to invite up.
Candidates. We got candidates.
Okay, come on. Candidates for which office?
Supervisor.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah. Sheriff.
Okay. Oh, that's what I wanted to hear. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Come on.
My name is Clean Chin, and I'm a lifelong resident of Humphreys County. I graduated in 1990 from Humphreys County High School. I attended that state university, majoring in mathematics and minor in engineering. I worked for the Humphreys County supervisor for the last 18 years. I was down in B3 for 13 years on the late great Willie L. Bill. Now I work for Derrick Henderson over B4. I'm running for a supervisor of Humphreys County District 3, not to make a living, but to make a difference. It's time that you work together as individuals. Now, individuals can do one thing, but together, collectively, we can make a change. We need infrastructure. We have tax base is lacking. So we have to come together to get economic development to try to bring something to the county so we can do a better thing and make it revenue. I was born and raised here. I've seen the change. I've been a part of the change. And I would like to continue to be a part of the change. So if you elect me on August 8th, new supervisor for Humphreys County District 3, I am the voice that you need to change that you deserve. Thank you.
Next up is Mr. Reggie Pinkston.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Reggie Pinkston. I'm a candidate for supervisor of District 5. I'm the current road foreman for Humphreys County District 5 under the leadership of Mr. Roy Broomfield. I started back in 1998 under the late Mr. Arvell Bullock. Took over as road foreman in 2003, and Mr. Broomfield won supervisor in 2004. I've been serving with Mr. Broomfield for the last 20 years. Now he's at the time he's ready to retire, and I'm ready to take over the position. I've been there for 25 years, been road foreman for 21. I'm also in law enforcement, been current law enforcement for the last 12 years, currently police chief in the town of Louise since 2015. It's a lot that I see from being on the inside of some changes that we can make to make a difference in this county for us, you know, not having to increase taxes so much, but it's other revenue, other ways that we can find revenue to bring this county forward. And I'm just asking for your support, your prayers, and your vote for Supervisor District 5. I know that I can do a great job as supervisor, as I have been working along with Mr. Broomfield for the last 20 years. Anything that I've, brought to the table to him, he do honor it. And like I said, we have done a lot for us roads and bridges, but it's a lot more
You know, a lot of people ask you sometimes about, you know, some people say about building houses and things like that, but you know, you can be, when you're a supervisor of your district. But when it comes to making decisions for the entire county, they have to be done as a whole. And you know, I've had the question asked me, can you bring some housing here? If you don't have more than one supervisor on board, it cannot be done. You know, you can do anything individually for your district, but as the county as a whole, we have to work together. And I'm one of those candidates that willing to work with anybody that's on the board to improve this county, to do what we can. You know, I've been in this county. I've been in the medical field, driving ambulance. So I've been a public servant in this county for over 25 years. And I see a lot. There's a lot that I know that can be done. And I'm willing to work with anybody to get it done. So I ask for your prayers and support on August 8th for supervisor of District 5. Thank you.
Next, we will invite Mr. Andrew Kemper up.
Good evening, everyone. I am Andrew Kemper, candidate for B1. Let me give you a little history about myself. I went to work for the nursing home in 2005. 2005, I worked with the nursing home for 15 years. I was maintenance man, also housekeeping over supervising laundry. Then the last 2 years, I've been working in B3 with Woodrow Johnson under his leadership. We were working for the public in Silver City. So I decided, after 2 years experience with Woodrow Johnson, I decided that I want to come to B1, where I reside at, and make a change for B1. You know, they always say, sweep around your own front door before you sweep around with someone else. So I want to come from Silver City to B3 and come home and work for the citizens in B1 and make a difference. I'm asking everyone for their support. August the 8th, vote Andrew Kemper, supervisor of B1. If you want change, make the change. I am the change. Thank you.
Next up is the candidate for constable, Mr. Michael Rush.
Good evening. My name is Michael Rush. I'm a little under the weather, didn't get back from California. It's kind of cold out there. But anyway, I'm currently a Northern District Constable of Humphreys County. I'm seeking re-election on August 8th. Appreciate your vote support. Got over 25 years experience. Thank you.
Okay, before we go to statewide candidates, do we have any more local candidates? Okay, so we have one new person that just came in the door, and I'm going to invite her up. She's running for Mississippi House of Representatives, Dr. C. Sade Turnipseed. Come on up.
Thank you. How y'all doing? All right. Okay. Now you might have to tell me when my 5 minutes is up because I'm a professor. I talk a lot. So I'm a professor of history. My specialty is public history, which is about building monuments, museums, historic markers, statues, that kind of thing. Me and my students, in fact, put the Fannie Lou Hamer marker in place in front of the Sunflower County Courthouse where she took her historic stance for the voting rights for all Americans in 1965. In addition to that, I was on the inaugural team for the B.B. King Museum. I was the inaugural director of education and community outreach. My passion is cotton, okay? Don't get mad. But I gotta tell you how it happened, because I was born and raised in San Francisco. All my people older than me is from here. So I was reared in Mississippi, if you know what I mean. Mom and them came with all of that Mississippi rooting, and that's what I got, and that's why I'm here now. Because I came and As an adult, I just fell in love with the Delta. I can't explain it, except that there's no traffic, number one. So in the big city, it's always a problem. But coming here, I have been more creatively inspired than any place in the world. One of the reasons was because when I took home cotton to my father and put it in his hand, he had lost his eyesight to diabetes. So he didn't see it coming, right? So I put it in his hand, he was trying to figure out, I said, Dad, I brought you a gift from the Delta. And he said, what is this, a handkerchief? You done brought me a sock back? I said, no, Dad, that's cotton. And as soon as I said the word cotton, he screamed, he threw it into the ceiling. My mother standing over there looking at me, shaking her head, said, what's wrong with her? And so it was from that I realized that my father had been terrorized by this thing called cotton. Ain't nobody ever said thank you to the hardworking ancestors who made this country, who made this region the Cotton Kingdom. And I took all of my dissertation and PhD studies around figuring out what has traumatized my people around cotton. So for that reason, I'm building a monument to say thank you to Grandmama and them for picking all that doggone cotton. And number two, it's about understanding our children in this whole entire region have nothing by way of fun, permanent activities. Again, I'm from San Francisco, so I don't understand. My heart bleeds, and it breaks my heart to see the fact that our children have nothing by way of bowling alley, skating ring, movie theater, permanent theme park, carnivals to go to on a regular basis. So I'm in the ear of Google right now to get the funding for a permanent theme park that deals with the history and the culture of the Mississippi Delta. And I think the best idea that we have come up with is what Jim Henson has already done. That's a part of my district, District 31. Isola is a part of the district, District 31. Somewhere in District 31, I want to bring this permanent theme park for our children to enjoy and engage in. We need to have fun. Our children need to understand the significance of fun. So that's really what my platform is, in addition to, because I'm a historian, when I get up there, I want to be that person that you come with that squeaking wheel, because we have to work with our local people. I want to be the partner from here in Humphreys County and all the other 3 counties that I will be representing. But what must happen, and you and I will work together on this as senator, is to bring a historic garden for those Reconstruction legislators, those original Black men who broke through the racial barrier during Reconstruction. You know, Hiram Rebels and all those guys. There's nothing on the state capitol that reflects that history, that gives honor and respect to that legacy. Up until Robert Clark and Alice Clark. So a historic garden that has a bust that reflects the history, the culture, the contributions of our struggle here in Mississippi to fight through this racism and this craziness that we're very well known for. But somehow we have to respect and honor the history of Mississippi and the things that we have done to break through and to make real progress. So with that, I will wrap it up and say thank you, and I do want your support. Please, if you're from Isola, please go home and tell everybody I got some cards over there and you can take them home and share them with your family. Thank you.
Thank you. So here's why I'm excited about today. One, I love being in the Mississippi Delta. I'm a Delta boy, so I'm biased, right? But what I'm most excited about today is I mentioned in the beginning that a lot of times we have elections, state elections, federal elections, and people just either skip over the Delta, Belzoni, Rolling Fork, Yazoo, they skip over, they go around, they just don't pay attention to voices of voters in this area. And I think for Democrats, that's their demise, because Humphreys County has the highest percentage, one of the highest percentage of registered voters in this state. In this state. So it makes no sense that time after time, they keep passing these communities by. That's what I'm trying to fix. We might not have a full room today, but you got to start somewhere, right? This is where we're putting our flag in the ground, and we're inviting people, and I'm telling you they'll come. And I know they'll come because they're here right now. This is what we're going to do. We got 3 candidates. 2 candidates running for statewide office. Attorney General, no, Public Service Commissioner, and 1 candidate running for federal office, this guy, running for United States Senate. We're going to invite up one of my really, really good friends. She's a lawyer, just a wonderful, wonderful person. She's running to unseat Lynn Fitch. Everybody knows who Lynn Fitch is, right? But this lady, she says, you know what? I'm going to take on that challenge because so much has been done wrong in the Attorney General's office. She's saying, I'm going to come to the Delta. I'm going to come to Belzoni. I'm going to respect voters enough to let them hear my voice. So please, please give a Delta round of applause for Greta Kemp Martin.
He's so wonderful. Y'all got to vote for this man next year. We need him in Washington almost as badly as we need to replace some of our folks in Jackson. So as Ty mentioned, my name is Greta Kemp Martin, and I'm running to be your next Attorney General. And I am running against the Republican incumbent, who I will not mention because I feel like this crowd knows who we're talking about. But I did want to tell you all a little bit about me because I think it's important for you to know who you're voting for. I am a lifelong Mississippian. I'm born, raised, and educated right here in the state. I'm originally from a county in northeast Mississippi, Tishomingo County. And it's okay if you don't know Tishomingo County because much like some of the counties in the Delta, some of our northeast counties, they don't get visited by candidates. They kind of get a little bit overlooked. So I grew up being a little bit overlooked by my folks in Jackson. So I understand that. I am a 3rd generation in the law. My grandfather's uncle and my father are all law enforcement. I just went the more expensive route to law school. But my father is currently running to be the sheriff of Tishomingo County. He is running as a Republican in the county. So if he clears his primary in August, there will be 2 of us on the ballot in Tishomingo County. And I'm very proud of the work he's doing. But as you can imagine, he and I do not see eye to eye on a lot of things. But one thing that we do see eye to eye on is that application of the law and justice are supposed to be blind. They're supposed to be equally applied no matter your race, your gender, your party affiliation, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, who your mama is, who your daddy is, or where you went to school. When you talk about applying the law, you are supposed to apply it evenly across the board. That is something that every attorney knows and that many attorneys like myself hold to be very dear. But what you don't have right now is that same value in your Attorney General's office. You have an Attorney General who has overlooked one of the largest scandals and embezzlement in the state of Mississippi to the tune of about $100 million of funds that are supposed to go to communities and families of people that need it most, people that need help getting back on their feet to keep this state moving and to move us forward. She watched as her Republican friends and donors and NFL quarterbacks are spending it on volleyball stadiums, on personal trainers, and not a single word from our AG's office, not a prosecution, not an investigation. But let me tell you what she has done. How many of you know Roe versus Wade? It's a 50-year precedent that allowed women to have the option to have an abortion if she so choose, to make that healthcare decision about her body. Last year, we're almost to the year anniversary, we had a decision that came out of this state. It's called the Dobbs decision. Many of you have heard it, I'm sure. That fuse was lit right here in Mississippi, and that fuse was lit by my opponent. She marched all the way to Washington and stripped women of their rights to make decisions about their own bodies. And if you think they're done, they're not. We have state leaders that have expressed openness in banning things like birth control, fertility treatments. We had a brief that was filed by our Attorney General, our current Attorney General, supporting the overturning of an FDA-approved drug that is used for medical abortions. Think about that for a minute. She is embracing the junk science to pull safe medications off the shelves because she doesn't believe it doesn't go with her agenda. She's signing amicus briefs in places like Ohio to spread her extremist views and the views of the Republican Party outside of the state of Mississippi. She's not even focused about what's going on right here in this state. And what we have right here in this state, we have a failing healthcare system. We have state leaders that continue to ignore what you want, and that's full expansion of Medicaid, to rescue rural hospitals, to ensure that people in rural areas like where we're standing right now and where I'm from in Tishomingo County, Mississippi, don't have to drive 2 or 3 hours if they have a heart attack, they have an emergency. She doesn't care. Your leaders in Jackson do not care. You want to know how I know? Because you have said over and over what you need. Over and over, we have polling that show that people in this state want better health care. They want better education for their children. They want more opportunities for their children. Your leaders are not listening. So you know what I think we need to do? We need to send them to the unemployment line. They're done. We have a chance this year to elect a dynamic new governor, top of the ticket, the most unprecedented momentum I have seen in a Democratic candidate in a long time. And what we are seeing now is we're seeing that momentum trickle down the ballot. And we're seeing it trickle into our campaign. People outside this state are watching Mississippi. They're watching our governor's race, and they're watching our AG's race. Because what we have a chance. Literally the year after my opponent went and stripped women's rights to the bone, we have a chance to put her out of office. That will send a message louder than anything else we could possibly do. But I do want to talk a little bit about the things I want to do, besides send her home. One thing that we do not have in our state right now is a Department of Labor. For a state that is very reliant upon its workers, that is egregious. Nor do we have a labor division focused on providing supports and resources to workers in our AG's office. That's something I want to correct on day one. I come from a working class family. Again, my father's a police officer, my mom's a nurse, but my family, we worked in factories up in Tishomingo County. We absolutely rely on our working class here in Mississippi, and the fact that they have no supports or resources in our government is horrendous, and I want to remedy that to the best of my ability as your next AG. Something else I want to do, in a post-Dobbs world, my opponent has put forth what she calls an empowerment agenda. You can probably guess just how empowering it is to women across the state. But what I want to look to do is to truly find ways to empower Mississippi families, and that is promoting equal pay legislation. I want to promote workplace discrimination as well as not just for gender, but also for disability. I'm a disability rights litigator, so I have seen that we have a prevalent trend about that in our state. So I want to make sure that if I'm going to have an empowerment agenda, I want it to actually empower the people in Mississippi. But I'll tell you, before I can do all this, before I can go and I can put this ship back on track, I'm going to need a few things from you. I'm going to need you to get out and vote, because it does not matter if Humphreys County has the highest registered voters if people do not show up in August and November. That is a wonderful statistic, but you have to show people what you can do with the power of your vote. And that is showing up for the primary. Thank God I don't have a primary, but it's important that you get there and you show up in November and you vote. It's the most powerful way that you can send a message to the people in Jackson. And I'm telling you, Republicans are scared of you right now. They are scared. Because what the opportunity that we have this year is probably, I mean, again, I'm 38, I've lived in Mississippi my whole life. I have never seen momentum and more desire for progress than I have this year. And it can be done. Some things that my campaign needs personally, I always tell people it's 3 things. It's time, treasure, and talent. And one is your time. Greta for AG.com, there's a place that you can sign up to get updates about our campaign, to get volunteer updates, because I will tell you 82 counties, it is very hard to make sure that you get to all of them multiple times before November. And we're going to rely on people in their communities helping us get the word out about our race. Talent, and this goes for me and any other campaign, any other Democratic campaign. If you have a special talent within your community, you wrote a book club, you preach in your church on Sunday, and you can invite a candidate to come speak and allow them to earn the vote of the people in your community, that's something that we need. Because again, for statewide races, 82 counties before November is a very daunting task. And finally, treasure. Whether it's $1, $10, $100, this is a fundraising machine. That is the way this works. Republicans outraise us significantly. And if you look right now, we all had to turn in financial reports on May 10th. We're already getting outraised. So every dollar counts. Most of us are running grassroots campaigns, which means we are running on $5 and $10 donations a month. And that is fine, because that runs our campaigns. And so I leave this with you today. Democrats in Mississippi have been held down too long. And it's because we're not loud enough and we don't take up enough space. And this is the year that we can do that. We have people on the ballot that can make real change. But in order to put them where they need to be, we've got to get out to the polls in August and November. And I hope if y'all have any questions, I love questions. I'm a lawyer. I thrive off questions. But I really thank you for letting me come out, and thank you, Ty, for allowing us and being our tour guide through the Delta. I love it. I have seen some places that even as a lifelong Mississippian, I've not had the opportunity to visit. And I really thank you all for taking time out of your Saturday to come and chat with us. Oh. Okay. Question now, is that okay? Okay.
Just
Go
one
for it.
question on your behalf of the taking contraceptive off the birth control. They won't do that. I thought if they're gonna attack women that way, how long they gonna get to men where they gonna say can't buy any more money?
Absolutely. So no, that's a fair concern, because what we have seen is, the attack on women has been a long-standing fight. We all know that. But once you open the door to something, it is a slippery slope. And what we are seeing across the country is that in this post-Dobbs world, anything's on the table, right? If they can go to Texas and challenge a drug that has literally been on the shelf safely for 20 years, an FDA process, which is a process authorized by Congress, anything is on the table. And I can promise you, I've done the research, our Republican leaders have expressed their willingness to do this. So I'm telling you, this is not just about abortion. It never has been. This is about control. This is about power. And if we keep letting them get away with it, you're right. Everything's fair game. Thank y'all so much.
Give her a round of applause. Thank you, Greta. Now, we got 2 more. And this next, don't come up here, because I need to properly introduce you, because this guy, we have something in common. This dude decided to try, I'm going to tell a little bit of part of your story because I'm so proud of you. Decided to try to join the military when he was still in middle school. It didn't work out for him. They turned him around, told him to come back in a few years. But he did join when he was 18 years old, joined the Marine Corps, served our country. And I'm proud of him because he finished his time in the Marine Corps, went home, then decided to join the Army to go fight in Iraq. So since he's been 18 years old, he's been serving in some capacity as either a military member or a community member in the city of Jackson. So now he's trying to run, or he is running. He's running to be the next public service commissioner for the Central District. And he's gonna tell you how important it is. But please welcome DeKeitha Stamps, Representative DeKeitha Stamps.
Hey, give Ty a round of applause. You're way too modest. And I do appreciate you and the folks who put this together, because it's important for all of us to get to know each other. It's important for candidates to get a chance to stand up and share your story and what you want to do, because it's not easy to open yourself up for public service. Put yourself under public scrutiny, people checking your background and saying stuff about you that may not be always the nicest. But I just want to say thank you for offering yourself for public service, and keep everybody in your prayers. As they travel across these highways and byways, you know, I know all of us are going across the whole state. You know, you're looking out for deer at night, late coming home in the evening times. So just keep everybody in your prayers as they go through this whole journey. Like you said, my name is DeKeitha Stamps. I'm gonna say the part that he left out. So I grew up in a little small town called Learned, Mississippi. Anybody know what Learned, Mississippi is? Okay, Learned, Mississippi, the population when I graduated high school was 50. Now it's 108. So we're the fastest growing town in Mississippi. And you know, when I was growing up, we used to get dressed up just to go to town. I don't know if people don't really do that no more, like they used to back in the day. Coming to somewhere like Belzoni was big stuff for us, because we were out in the rural areas. And like I said, I joined the military because I wanted to serve. I grew up watching Rambo and G.I. Joe and all that. I wanted to go out and do the same stuff. And God blessed me with the ability to do that. And when I retired from the military, I came back, and Mississippi just hadn't made the progress that I thought it should have made. So I looked in the mirror and said, well, what you gonna do about it? So I ran for city council in Jackson. And that's where most folks know me from, the time I spent 8 years on the Jackson City Council prior to getting elected to the legislature. What I realized in local government is I believe everybody learn a lot in local government. Being an alderman, a city council person, a supervisor, you right there in the ditch with the person. And when I realized that, you know what, you can take that experience and then you can go to the state level. So when you sit at the Capitol, it's not just a bullet point on a piece of paper or a PowerPoint presentation. You know it as being real because you've been on somebody's front porch. You've been in that flooded ditch, that sewer overflow, or that collapsed bridge without the resources to fix it. So when those issues come across your desk, it's more personal. It means a little bit more to you. And now, running for Public Service Commissioner, many folks don't even know what the Public Service Commission does. The Public Service Commission regulates all your utilities in the whole state of Mississippi. You got 3 people, a northern, a central, and a southern district commissioner. And the central district is the same district as the Transportation Commission that Commissioner Simmons runs in. It's the central 22 counties of Mississippi, and they regulate all your utilities. And sometimes you don't really take it to heart. Most folks spend more money on utilities than they do taxes. Because when you add together your light bill, your water bill, your gas bill, your cell phone bill, and all those different utilities together, you probably spend a good chunk of money every month. Well, 3 people determine that. And utilities are so important because we got all the economic development that you want in your communities. It starts with utilities. You know, we got serious problems all over this state. And I'm a firm believer that we got to do better. But we have to do better for everybody. There's certain people in this state who want to kill the whole state to save 10 counties. And y'all know what counties they are. And Humphreys County is not on that list. Now, I'm a firm believer that we should make the situation better for all the counties. Because until we get the basic things right, these more new age stuff, we gotta get the basic stuff right. And we're not getting utilities right, especially in counties that's not on that preferred list. Like, people talk about Jackson a lot, and Jackson does have its problems, and I'm intimately familiar with those problems. But it's places right here in Humphreys County. You got folks right here in Humphreys County that don't even have indoor sewer. You got places in Hazelhurst. Hazelhurst right now has a moratorium. What that means is you can't even build a new house in the whole town of Hazelhurst right now. Let me say it again. You can't build a new house in the whole town of Hazelhurst because it's under a utility moratorium by the state. Those are failures that nobody's talking about, not making the news, but that whole town is locked down for economic development because they can't even add any new users on their system because of disrepair and the lack of focus on their utilities. I want to bring the utility issue to light to open up economic development for everyone. The new housing that you need here, it's going to start with utilities. If we can take some of our state and federal money that's coming in and put in place some utilities in some good areas for your supervisor districts, that'll open you up to build new houses. Because you got people living here. You got folks who want to live here. If they had adequate housing, they'll stay here for another generation versus move somewhere in Madison or Rankin County or wherever they're going to move to. They will stay right here. That housing piece is important, but it's going to start with utilities. So that's why we're running for Public Service Commission, so that we can put in new neighborhoods all across the Delta and maintain your population. Because some folks just like me, I want to live in rural Harris County. A lot of folks are moving out, but it means something to me because my family has been in rural Harris County for 600 years. We were here before Europeans, we've been here during them, and we're here now. And so what I'm saying is there's some people who really love Mississippi, who want to stay in Mississippi, who don't want to live nowhere else. But it takes leadership to do so. So what we're offering is leadership that's going to keep people in Mississippi, that's going to make all of Mississippi better, especially for the central 22 counties of the state of Mississippi. So again, my name is Keith Stamps. I appreciate your prayers and support. I know you said we had like 10 minutes, but if anybody has a question for me about anything, y'all are welcome to ask a question before the superstar comes up, because I'm pretty sure y'all gonna have a bunch of questions for him. Anybody have any questions for me? Sure? Come on, now, there gotta be something now. Yeah, I know people see stuff on TV all the time. They want to ask questions about Kenny Stokes and Tate Reeves and all kind of stuff. I'm sure somebody got a question.
We're gonna get you in office, then I'll have a minute.
Well, yes, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your support, and keep all the candidates in your prayers who are running for office because it's not easy. For those of you who have one of my cards, right on the back of it, there's a little QR code there. You can scan and put your phone number in and look me up and contact everything we got going on. Participate with us. You know, we look for three things: votes, volunteers, and donations. You know, but main thing is the volunteer piece. Just share our stuff that we have online. Share it with your friends and family. Because everybody do a little bit. It won't take one person to do a lot. And I share your stuff, you share my stuff, and we'll let the people figure it out on the other end. And we're asking for your prayers, your support, and your vote in November for the Keith Stamps Public Service Commission for the Central District. God bless and Godspeed.
Not a question, but a statement. I do the local radio. Am I able to get to you of the very small crowd here with the radio 5 counties? And so I would appreciate all of y'all getting in contact with me so that we can help you to state your campaign through the radio.
Oh, I love it. So it's as soon as we disperse here, I'll make sure I connect with you so we can make that happen. Now, I'll take a point of personal privilege so that he doesn't have to introduce himself.
Is that microphone turned on?
Okay, let me do a little. There we go. I'll take a point of personal privilege so he wouldn't have to introduce himself. Now, this young man is, first off, I'm a little side-eyed, folks I ain't seen in a while. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all see folks coming back from Mississippi. Oh, I'm from Mississippi. I'm here. I'm coming to y'all. I want y'all to vote for me. Y'all, you know what I'm talking about, right? Y'all see folks all the time. They used to be from here. They come back. So who are you? What you got going on? But I gave him the side eye at first. But after a few weeks of seeing him around, a few months seeing him around, I said, man, this brother Ty Pinkins may be a little serious. He may be all right. So then after a little while, I started looking at him and started looking at his background and looking at his history. And I said, he may have a genuine heart. He may really want to help Mississippi move forward. And then once he got a radio show, that's how powerful radio is. When he got his radio show, I said, you know what, I'm gonna try the spirit by the spirit. Everybody heard it before? Yeah, I just said, okay. So he got on the radio and started telling this story about what he wanted to do. And it wasn't all about him. It was about problems and things that can be done that were simple things that are doable. And so not only we got a young man that has a genuine heart, he also is taking a practical approach and saying, you know what? Instead of building these political parties up, I want to build up the people. Because in some cases, this side is right. In some cases, this side is right. And sometimes both of them are wrong. But it takes people who are independent thinking to say, you know what? These are the things that are right on this side. These are the things that are right on this side. But here's another list of things where both of them are wrong. And both of them need to have a come to Jesus meeting. Because they truly don't represent the best of Mississippi. And so taking his military background and his heart for the Mississippi Delta, he's coming back to run for the United States Senate. And I'll introduce you some and show the others, Mr. Ty Pinkins.
Thank y'all so much. And I don't know if you can see it in my face, but I love the Mississippi Delta. I do, and I'm not afraid to say it. And I'm gonna explain to you why here in a minute. So my name is Ty Pinkins, and I'm running to be your next United States Senator. Thank y'all for coming out today. I really, really appreciate you sharing your time with me. I'm here to ask you to donate to me. In a few minutes, I'm gonna do it. You know it's coming. You know I'm gonna ask you for some money. But what I'm gonna do first is I'm going to explain to you why you should invest in me. I'm gonna earn your vote, okay? So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up not far from here in Rolling Fork, Mississippi, right down the highway. Neither one of my parents earned a formal education. My biological father left before I was born. My mother became pregnant with me when she was 14 years old. At 15, she dropped out in the 10th grade to give birth to me. She never went back. My stepfather, who helped raise me, he had already left school in the 6th grade to start working on the farm. And I remember it just like it was yesterday. He woke me up early one summer morning, told me to go outside and climb on the back of his old beat-up pickup truck. Y'all know where I'm going. There were men on the truck twice and 3 times my age. I was only 13 years old. The truck took off. It drove several miles. When it stopped, I stood on a narrow dirt road in the middle of a cotton field. I followed those men into that cotton field. And from 13 years old, for the rest of my teenage years, I chopped that cotton from sunup to sundown to help my parents pay the bills. There were days when those fields nearly broke me down. However, over time, like many of our ancestors, I realized that that experience actually built me up. It taught me the value of hard work and dedication. The same work ethic I'll take to Washington, D.C. to work hard for y'all. I promise you I'll do it. Now, even though my family, my parents, never received a formal education, they taught me the value of a good education. I became the first in my family to graduate high school. I'm a proud product of Mississippi Public Schools. I attended Tougaloo College before joining the Army. Served 21 years on active duty, 3 combat tours over 36 months in combat. Was awarded the Bronze Star for my first tour in combat. But here's what I never forgot. I never forgot the importance my parents taught me about a good education. So I finished my degree while on active duty. As an Army officer, I served in the White House under President Obama. When I finished in the White House, I remember what my parents kept whispering in my ear, get that education. So I went across town in Washington, D.C., and I enrolled in law school. Earned my JD, my law degree, as well as my LLM, my master's in law, with a focus in national security law. But guess what I did after I graduated from law school? I sold my house, packed everything up in the truck, including my kids and my wife, and I drove 600 miles right back to the Mississippi Delta. And for the last few years, I've been working right here, literally, in Humphreys County, Sharkey, Yazoo, Sunflower County, Washington County, serving in some of the same communities, the same low-income communities that gave me so much when it had so little to give. Helping single mothers in the middle of winter who are about to be evicted, in the middle of a pandemic. In the middle of winter and in the middle of a pandemic. Representing low-income farm workers. Y'all probably saw it in the news, who are being cheated out of their pay. And you know it's been going on for a very long time. I went all the way to Washington, D.C. I testified before Congress and told them about their federal policy, which was allowing farm owners to cheat farm workers, mostly black farm workers, out of their pay. When my opponent didn't do anything about it, I came right back to the Mississippi Delta. I turned right around, and you know what I'm finna say. I sued those same farm owners. And guess what? I won. I won. Brought back over $1 million to low-income farm workers right here in the Mississippi Delta. But that's not enough. We can do better. We can do better. Like I said, I grew up right across here, almost right across that field. Y'all know where Rolling Fork's at, where Sharkey County's at. My dad worked 16-hour days, driving tractors, struggling to feed our family. And a lot of y'all know what I'm talking about because your parents and your grandparents did the same thing. Sometimes it was hard for my parents to raise 4 kids on food stamps and a salary of about $14,000 a year. Like many of you, they struggle to make ends meet. But also, like many of you, all they really wanted was a fair shot, an equal chance, and a level playing field. We all want a good job that pays a decent wage so we can go home every day with our dignity and respect intact, right? We all want affordable health care that we can depend on to take care of our family, right? And I know you want that here in Humphreys County because y'all don't even have a hospital. How do you have a whole county without a hospital? Somebody failed somewhere. We all want a quality education system because like you, I want my kids to be smarter than me. Yeah. For too long, my opponent has been sitting in Washington, D.C., failing not only our state, but especially the Mississippi Delta. It's a crying shame. It's unacceptable that in some counties here in the Mississippi Delta, the unemployment rate is 3 times the national average. Nobody want to talk about that. Everybody want to talk about unemployment rate is at national lows. Unemployment rate in this state or that state is nationally low. But nobody want to talk about the issues going on in Humphreys County, Sunflower County, Sharkey County, where the unemployment rate is still high. You know it. You know it. I'm a Delta boy, and I'm going to talk about it. It's unacceptable that in some of these counties, the poverty rate is as high as 39%. Now, compare that to the national poverty rate, which is about 12%. That's a 27% gap that's existed to some degree since my opponent took office. And I'm going to do something about it. My campaign platform consists of 3 things: jobs in the economy, healthcare, and education. Sound familiar? There's a pattern forming here. It's a pattern forming here because those are the main 3 issues facing you, your family members, and your neighbors right here in Mississippi. I'm here asking you to support me. Here's why I'm going to earn your support. Because I don't think it makes sense sometimes when we have politicians that run around and they say, well, just vote for me and do this for me, without actually respecting you enough to tell you why. So I'm gonna earn it. I'm gonna do 3 things in the next 5 minutes. 1, I'm gonna tell you what the issue is. 2, I'm gonna tell you why my opponent hasn't solved the issue, even though he's been in Washington, D.C. for almost 20 years. 3, I'm going to explain to you why you should invest in me as your next United States Senator. Not only from Mississippi, but from the Mississippi Delta. Okay? Fair enough? Okay, here we go. Job, you're my favorite fan, because she's giving it all to me. She's like, okay, I got you. Felt like I was in church. Jobs in the economy. You deserve an economy that works for all Mississippians. For far too long, our state has been near last or last in job creation and unemployment. It's ridiculous. That's why for the last few years, I've been fighting for workers right here in our state. I told you I went all the way to Congress to fight on behalf of workers right here, not only in the state, but in the Mississippi Delta. And then I came back and I won. But that's not enough. We can do more. And here's why we can do more. Y'all know it. It's in the dirt here. We can grow anything in the Mississippi Delta. Right here in Humphreys County, you can grow cotton, you can grow corn, soybeans, rice, tomatoes, potatoes, greens, water. You can grow anything in the Mississippi. Everybody knows it. We got some of the most fertile farmland in this country. But guess what else we got? We got one of the most untapped natural resources in this country also that we haven't taken advantage of. And along with that resource comes jobs, which these communities are missing. And let me explain a little bit about that resource. It's about 2,500 miles long. Starts all the way up in Minnesota, comes through Illinois, St. Louis, Tennessee, Arkansas, and hits Mississippi up near Tunica. And here's the confusing part for me when I think that we haven't taken advantage of it. It hits Mississippi at Tunica, and it literally runs down the western border of our state, along some of the most poverty-stricken, poorest communities, not only in our state, in our country. I don't even have to say, it's the Mississippi River. It's flowing all the way down the western side of our state. And here's why it's so valuable. And here's where our opportunity exists. And this is why part of the reason I'm running. I said it's 2,500 miles long, but the deepest part of the Mississippi River and the fastest flowing part of the Mississippi River is about 50 miles that way in Issaquah County. And that's important because of what's called hydropower. We have wind power. Y'all heard about it, solar windmills. Solar power. You've seen solar panels on people's houses. Hydropower is a new clean energy that is about to explode. Who in here is tired of Mississippi being last to do the right thing all the time? Yeah, you're tired of our leaders in Mississippi being the last to do the right thing. Here's why this is so important. That river, if we put hydropower in that river, and hydropower is basically taking a pontoon, putting it on the river, not even the whole river, just on the side of the river, and it spins as the water flows. The water in the Mississippi River flows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, twice on Sundays. You know it does, it never stops. If we implement hydropower right here in Issaquah County, which is not far from here, one, it creates jobs out there and it creates jobs here. Who would drive to Issaquah County for a job that paid you $45 an hour, $30 an hour? I'll be in my car every day. But here's what else hydropower could do, because the Corps of Engineers is already investigating it. They're working with a company called Issaquah Green Power that I'm working with also. Well, look at that. He already working to try to improve jobs in the community. He ain't even elected yet. The Corps of Engineers is working with this company to investigate how this would benefit Mississippi. And they have said that the potential of hydropower on that river could power every home in this state. That wasn't a mistake. Every home in this state. So that's jobs in the economy. That's one of the reasons I'm running. As your next United States Senator, that's a program that I'll fight to implement because I know how it will benefit not only the Mississippi Delta, but Mississippi as a whole. Healthcare, quality, affordable healthcare. My dad drove tractors for over 30 years. Over 30 years before I joined the military, he was one of the healthiest people I knew. Could run like the wind. Play softball on the local community softball team. Play softball here in against Humphreys County sometime. Did. I went out to the Army, served 3 tours in combat, over 36 months. Came back healthy. Only to find that my dad is now a double amputee, in a wheelchair, nearly blind, and suffering from kidney failure. And today, just like some people right here in Humphrey County, my dad has to drive nearly 3 hours round trip to get basic health care services. You know what I'm talking about. Has to drive nearly 3 hours round trip to get basic health care services, which to me, it doesn't make sense why we haven't expanded Medicaid in Mississippi. Makes no sense. We're lacking health care. We got people driving all over the state to get health care, like in Humphreys County. I'll fight to make sure that the opportunity to expand Medicaid stays on the table so that you can get your health services right here in this community. Education. Told you it was only going to take me 5 minutes. Education. Something interesting happened in 2017. President Trump was in office. We had a 50-50 Senate, a split right down the middle on the federal level. 50 Democrats and 50 Republicans. And when that happens, there's a tie a lot of times. The Vice President of the United States has to break that tie. That was Mike Pence at the time. The Senate was thinking about confirming a nomination. The nomination for Secretary of Education. It was a tie. Vice President Pence broke that tie to nominate a lady called Betsy DeVos as our Secretary of Education. Here's how that hurt your communities. Took money out of public schools and placed those in private schools. Took that money out of those public schools and placed those in private schools. But here's the thing, when you think about voting to confirm somebody for Secretary of Education, the assumption is that that person would have some background in what? There you go, education. You figured it out. You think that that person is a school teacher, was a school teacher, maybe a principal, a superintendent, a professor, or something. The person that was nominated that day was an investor in computer chips. That is it. And my opponent voted for her to get that position. Therefore, he voted to remove dollars from public schools into private schools. Here's what I will do as your next United States Senator. When the confirmation comes up for Secretary of Education, I'll vote for someone who actually has experience in the education field. I'll vote for you. What I'll also vote for is I'll vote to make sure that our public schools are adequately funded. Last thing, here's why I'm running. And I think this is the most important part. I'm running because most of our leaders have failed us today. They have failed us. Some of them have forgotten things like selfless service, honesty. You've seen them lying on TV. And duty. They've forgotten that the most important thing is improving your lives and the lives of your family. They've forgotten that one of the most important things is listening to you and hearing what it is that you have to say. That's why my campaign motto is you talk, I listen, and we do. So over the next 15 months, because my campaign, my election isn't until 2024. I started early. Over the next 15 months, I'll be in all 82 counties, listening to people, hearing what they have to say so that we can work together. But I can't do it by myself. Here it is, it's coming. It's coming. I cannot do it by myself. So now I'm gonna ask you to help me in one of 3 ways: volunteering for my campaign, telling your family and friends and making sure that they understand that they have a right to vote, and donating to my campaign. I'm a Delta boy. Here's how my Delta people can help me. Here's how you can help me. Over there is one of my cards. On the back of it is a code. Go on that code, and if you can't do it, have your younger community family members do it. Donate to my campaign, $20, $25 a month, $10 a month, because here's what that helps me do. That helps me get up to DeSoto County to pay for gas. That helps me pay for materials for the campaign so that I can put signs in people's yard. It helps me get down to LaFleur County over here. But it helps me fight for you. That's what I need as a Delta boy, okay? I really appreciate y'all's time. If you're a candidate, after this, we are going to be interviewing candidates over here. And those snippets you'll get back so that you can put on your social media, okay? But thank y'all so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. Oh, any questions you may have, I'm happy to answer.
Here we go. Thank y'all so much.
In the absence of moderator Dr. Joe Jackson, I want to thank all of you for being a part of this. Thank y'all so very much for coming into this area. I have a large Facebook following, and I was live streaming while you were doing your thing. So the word is getting out. Leave your information with us, and we'll make sure we get the word. But thank y'all for using our facility on today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Y'all have a wonderful day. Thank you for coming out, sir.